Hey, everybody, it's Ron Johnson, and this is Locked On Sports Minnesota, and it's a Friday. You know what that means? It's Roundtable time. And yes, I might be hamming it up a little bit. I got my Gophers hoodie. I got my Jay Jetta's sunglasses. I got the cigar like I'm Michael Jordan. I got the Diddy champagne, baby. Biggie, Diddy. Gophers beat Nebraska, but this is not what we're not going to get that hype just this early. I got it all. I got the cigars. I got the champagne. But we got to get locked in on this show, man. We can't. But everybody, I want you guys to know, again, this is Locked On Sports Minnesota. I'm Ron Johnson. That's Luke Inman. We got Sam Ekstrom. We got Reggie Wilson from Care 11. Did it big last night. I saw him on the sideline. I got to see Reggie, Gus Johnson, Ahmad. I mean, it was just, oh, man. I got to hang out with Mark Ingram. I got to talk to Matt Leinart. I mean, it was just, I got Jenny Taft was on our show. It was just people after people after people. Rashad Bateman. But, hey, again, we're not talking about that. We got to get locked in on this show. What you got for us, Luke?
Yeah, Ron, Vikes Bucks week 1. We're now just under 10 days away. I want to get your guys' takes and opinions on what that matchup looks like to start the season right out the gate.
Pennant chase is on. The Twins lead the Central by 5. What are some bold predictions about the month of September for our favorite baseball team?
Big Hawk got some big money, and all of a sudden those big injuries are not necessarily a big deal anymore.
Speaking of TJ Hockenson, I got a great video I'm about to tweet out later. It's a TJ Hockenson spoof about the contract in the spring. So I love it. I had fun with it. But, hey, the Gophers, got to start the show with that. The Gophers beat the Cornhuskers 3-0 at halftime, down 10-3. I'm going to say that for the show, people. We are going to talk about the takeaways from this Gophers-Nebraska win. I want everybody to know Locked On Sports Minnesota is a proud partner with SiriusXM Radio, with FanDuel as well. You can just visit FanDuel.com/locked-on because you got to get football season now. As college has started, but NFL is next week. NFL bets. Get them out there early, people. Go to FanDuel. But let's get locked in on this show. I'm going to start it off, fellas, because it's Gopher Day. It's the Gophers. That's the horn for my DJ in the background. DJ such and such. Gophers beat Nebraska. And here's where I go with this. First of all, Sam, your bold prediction of Athan Kaliakmanis going, what you think you said, 24 for 40 or something like that?
I said, well, I didn't say 40. I didn't think they aired out 40 times. I think I said 20 of 26 was my prediction. Yeah.
Well, did you see that? 44 passes by Athan Kaliakmanis. And I said this on the pregame show. I said PJ Fleck, everybody keeps talking about this balanced offense PJ Fleck wants to have. Balance is just using the guys that you think are going to get you going. We are about to see when Chris Autman-Bell comes back, and I think that's the key that was missing a little bit last night, was they didn't have a guy they could just throw it up to every once in a while, a guy that was going to control the middle of the field, Chris Autman-Bell. But Daniel Jackson, 9 catches. Corey Crooms, 7 catches. Brevin Spanford, 5. And I like the fact that they split Brevin Spanford out wide. They're just setting us up for some other stuff. They want to see how teams are going to play them, who's going to guard them. You look at Bryce Williams had some catches. Elijah Spencer had a catch. Lemeki Brockington got a target. Sean Tyler got a target. So he was out there just slinging the ball. I love the fact that you see his arm strength. You see some of his quick twitch throws. Athan Kaliakmanis is a guy, but he's got to figure it out a little bit sooner sometimes. He's got to decide to run sooner. I love the design quarterback runs. We hadn't seen that in 6 years. We hadn't seen design quarterback runs in 6 years, and we got that from Athan Kaliakmanis. And then you look at Nebraska. I think Matt Rule is doing a great job, but this team looks a lot better. I think if this was Scott Frost and he had walked into US Bank Stadium, or sorry, not US Bank Stadium, Huntington Bank Stadium, it would probably have been a different result as far. It probably still would have been a Gopher win, but I think the scoring would have been a lot higher on the Gopher side because his defense at times was very undisciplined. But his defense looked very disciplined last night. His offense, a bit stagnant. The new quarterback, I was very surprised at some of the receivers they did not use, like Billy Kemp, who transferred from Virginia. This is a kid that has 192 career catches, and he didn't get a single catch. So very interested to see how Nebraska goes with this. But my early takeaways are the Gophers won. They're 1-0. Daniel Jackson with the catch of the night. That was just absolutely nuts. I've done that in my life before. I still don't know how he did it. I still don't know how he did it, but he did it. Gophers got the win. And I'm going to sit back and listen to you guys. What you got, Luke?
Yeah, Ron. I mean, first of all, props to all the people who forgot there was a game going on, by the way, until, midway through the fourth quarter, they turn it on. You played that perfectly. That's all you really needed to watch. Second of all, you mentioned it at the top. I was just blown away by this. We watched Tanner Morgan start for 5 straight years. That dude played 51 games for the Gophers. Not one time did he ever throw more than 37 passes. Not once. Kaliakmanis comes in, first real start as the bona fide guy. He shatters that 44 pass attempts. That kind of tells me everything I need to know about this offense, what it's going to look like this year. It's going to be vastly different than what fans have watched with Tanner Morgan at the helm. It was easy to see why they aired it out so much, because without Mo Ibrahim, man, I'm a little worried about that running game. Granted, Nebraska's defense, a little bit better than people give them credit for, but they had nothing working in the run game. 22 rushes, 55 yards. That's a measly 2.2 yards per carry. I'm all for this shift into a more pass-happy system, running this offense through an athlete like Kaliakmanis, but unless they get more efficient, I think, on the ground, he's going to have a hard time this season if he's constantly in those 3rd and long situations. The play of the game came on a 4th and 10. That's going to be really tough. That's not what you want to do to help your young quarterback. Those were my 2 big takeaways. Big picture, though, man. What a fun way to start the year. Such a dramatic walk-off winner in front of the home crowd. That's certainly number one main takeaway. But if you're a coach, you wake up this morning, you go back to the drawing board. There's still a lot of things they want to clean up for sure if they want to be consistent week in and week out. Ron, I got to ask you, though, what's that like as a player to start your season on a walk-off winner like that in front of the home crowd? That's got to be incredible.
Huge. It's huge. That's the only thing you say, and this is how you build the rest of the season. Good thing is they got Eastern Michigan next. They got a little bit of relaxation before they have to head out to North Carolina. So that's a huge start, though. Great. They're going to start school next week. These guys are going to be walking around campus with their chest out. What you got, Sam?
Yeah, had to win the game. When your defense forces 4 turnovers and you're +3 in the take-give, had to win that game. Think of how demoralized we would be this morning if that had gone the wrong way. And it kind of reminded me of a Vikings finish last year where they're down and out, down in the 4th quarter, and then an unlikely sequence of events happens. It was, oh, hey, buddy, how's it going? We're just talking Gophers. It was the fumble. It was the 4th and 10 to Jackson where, again, I didn't think in real time, I said, no way he got his foot down. And then the replay showed. A great call by the official, by the way, to see that in real time. And then the interception by Newman. And then the kick. Just a crazy sequence of events. Had to win the game. Thinking of Kaliakmanis, he's got an arm, guys. Like, he's got a legit arm, and Mike Grimm was on Ron's show, and he said he might have NFL talent. I think he's got NFL arm talent. Now, I do need to see a little more accuracy downfield. He was floating it a little bit. He was leading guys too far. He almost led Daniel Jackson too far on the final play, but he did make that catch. There was one kind of sidearm throw over the middle where he hit a guy crossing the field, which was such a tight window, such an impressive throw. And he made a few of those during the game where I was really wowed by it. But like Luke said, you got to figure out the running game. I mean, how many of their 8 third down conversions were they like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 6? They converted a lot of tough third downs that I don't think will be sustainable in the future. So a lot to clean up, but you had to win with that turnover margin, and they did. How good is Tyler Newman, by the way? Another friend of the Ron Johnson Show.
Reginald.
Yeah, so being there last night, first of all, that first 3 quarters was some of the most non-thrilling football I've seen in a while. And it was interesting because that play right after halftime, the broken play that ended up in a touchdown for Nebraska, it was just like, what in the world happened? What are we watching? I think Gus Johnson was like, they made chicken salad or something like that. I made the comment after the game, the Gophers had a long offseason full of questions about what this team would look like. And I think they still need some time. I think they still need some time. The defense looks bona fide. The offense needs some work. Needs a little work under Greg Harbaugh, who PJ Fleck said is the play caller this season. Mm-hmm. And it's funny that you mentioned that, Sam, about Athan, because after the game we talked to him and he admitted, yeah, that was a bad pass. That was a bad pass. Daniel Jackson bailed him out. I still don't know how he got that foot down without putting the other foot down out of bounds, but that was an incredible play. Probably going to see that on T-shirts next week and all season. But what I will say, that was just a gritty win. It did play out. I felt like the ending was kind of like a 2022 Vikings game. And I'm like, okay, all right, that's good. That's fine. And it's like all's well that ends well, right? Because that would have been a very bad loss to open up the season, sold out crowd, everybody in their gold, the stadium's rocking, and they couldn't get much going. One thing about Kaliakmanis, 44 pass attempts, he only threw for 196 yards. And we asked him after the game, why couldn't we get anything going on the run game for the Gophers? And he was just like, I don't think it was a bad run execution from the Gophers. He kind of blamed some other things, and it's like, well, that wasn't a typical Gophers game where you see them establish the run, just run it down your throat, and then the pass kind of complements. And it was funny because PJ Fleck was like, yeah, Mo Ibrahim was in the locker room. I almost grabbed him like, go in there, get in there. Because he was like, he's not used to seeing Mo and him not being available for him to use. So they got some things to clean up. But like I said, all's well that ends well, because they got the win, but they got the win by the skin of their teeth.
I will say, Reggie, you brought up a good point about the run game. This is the thing, though. People forget there's been trends and mirages. I'd say the trend history of Gophers, has been a running school back to Marion Barber Maroney days. But my senior year, we went 4 wides. We spread it out because we had the weapons. Fast forward, Eric Decker. They spread it out with him and Tyler Johnson, Ernie Wheelwright, and Logan Payne. They threw the ball with Matt Spaeth. And then they went back to a run game. And then all of a sudden, 2019, you got Rashad Bateman and Tyler Johnson. They threw the ball. So I think, PJ Fleck, Glenn Mason, whoever you want to call it, the coaches have to use what they have. And what they have right now is a guy, Nathan Kaliakmanis. I think this is what the next 3 years are going to look like. It's going to be, unless they can get one of these backs to really get going, Sean Tyler, he's more of a receiving running back, which I think is going to help Athan. But here's where I go with the run game real quick before we jump into the next topic with Reggie and this TJ Hockenson contract. The Gophers run game can get going, but it's going to be this offensive line needs to figure out how to gel. And I think in the zone run scheme, it's more of the running backs. The running backs are going to, like Sean Tyler coming from Western Michigan, is a lot different playing in the Big Ten. He's going to have to learn how to read that line. Mo Ibrahim had the best vision I've ever seen for a middle zone runner. And that's what the problem is. You have to look from tackle to tackle because your lane can be anywhere in there. And a lot of times these running backs are just going front side right away because that seems like the best thing to do. But you got to be patient like Mo was. And they'll learn that. Maybe Eastern Michigan is going to be a good game for them to be patient. But we got to move on because it's contract time. What you got, Reggie?
Yeah, man. It's interesting that TJ got done before JJ did. But TJ Hockenson agrees to a 4-year contract up to $68 million, $68.5 million.
Yeah, don't forget that half. Don't shortchange that $500,000.
My bad. Look, my bad. $42.5 million guaranteed, 17.125 average annual value, and that 0.125 puts him as the richest tight end in NFL history. And so, interesting. He's dealt with lower back, dealt with ear infection affecting his equilibrium. His equilibrium is all right now. I think he's trending towards starting in that game against Tampa in the opener on September 10th. So it was a big time deal. KOC mentioned how he identified TJ like right away as a person that they wanted to make a major part of the offense. And so Kwesi finally put the money where the mouth is, or where KOC's mouth is, I guess, backed up the Brinks truck. First real big money contract that Kwesi has given out to one of the Vikings players. So it's good to see that. Still got a week or so before the season starts. We'll see if he is feeling even more generous with the Wilfs money and pays Justin Jefferson next. But this is a big time contract for a guy who came in and hit the ground running and has been a key contributor to the Vikings since he got here from the Lions.
Nope.
Yeah, I knew something smelled fishy about those injuries, guy. I don't know many grown men that get a 3-week-long ear infection and then a mysterious back injury, even though, wait a minute, you've been on the sideline standing around. What happened? It sounds like those have all mysteriously gone away now. He should be ready to roll, by the way, for week 1. Puts a lot of that drama to bed, finally. That feels good. Totally well-deserved. Reggie mentioned a lot of it. You saw the difference this guy made in this offense as soon as he showed up, the difference he had those final 10, 11 games. This offense, this team looked night and day. Pulled this up on Twitter per Nick Olson. Kirk Cousins' EPA, it went from 0.054 the first 8 weeks to 0.10 the rest of the season, meaning Cousins literally doubled his efficiency once TJ Hockenson got in the building. So it's really hard to overstate the importance of just how much he means. I love the structure of this thing as well. Once you look at the actual deal and the details, for much as the big numbers kind of pop out to you on the page, it's really a team-friendly deal. Kwesi ends up saving $5 million this year on the cap. By the time this thing really gets inflated, 2026, it's kind of set up where they can get out of the deal easily, or they've set themselves up for another extension when he's only 29 years old, no less. So that's really good. You look back now at the guts it took to make this trade, pull the trigger really by Kwesi. It may be the single best move he's made since he's been here. I mean, getting a guy of that magnitude from a division rival, no less, for just a couple day 2 picks, that was unbelievable. Now you got Hockenson, Addison. It'll only be a matter of time before Jefferson's locked up now too. The only real question is, guys, who's going to be throwing them the ball in 2024 and beyond?
Yeah, we went into sort of this last month wondering, is Danielle Hunter going to be here? And the answer turned out, yes, at least for one more year. They kept him. TJ Hockenson, is he going to be here long-term? Now the answer is yes, they've signed him long-term. And now I think the easiest deal to come together is Justin Jefferson. That's the one that they've had the most confidence about. Ownership, GM, the player doesn't seem to be too bothered by any of it. I think that's going to get done too. So they're going to check all these boxes with these stars. And I will say, enjoy this year while you have Addison, Osborne, Jefferson, Hockenson, Madison, Oliver. I mean, because this offense is going to get expensive really quickly, especially once that Jefferson money hits. I don't know if they can keep Osborne, any further than this year. So this could be a really explosive offense. It could be a special offense. And again, Kirk Cousins being the linchpin of all of it, you don't know if you're going to have him beyond this year either. So enjoy this season with this group because it could look really different 1 year from now. I always thought this was a no-brainer. Tight ends like Hockenson are a rare breed in the NFL. It's not like wide receiver where every team's got 2 of them. You've got like 10 or 12 tight ends that are kind of on that level, and Hockenson might even be top 5 in the league right now, deserving of the money. I thought it made sense. He seems like a perfect fit in Minnesota. This is, we knock him for the Rager and the Blacklock trades. This is a great trade by kwesi-adofo-mensah that worked out, and now they've got him through 2027.
Yeah, and this is where I go with the bunny side of it. You see TJ Hockenson's 42.5 total guarantee. Not to say that I think that's all he's going to get. I feel like that's what they're heading towards. Like, hey, let's just make sure we get him his 42.5. That makes he's the highest total guarantee right now. George Kittle's at 40, Mark Andrews is at 37, Dallas Goedert's at 35. We know that one of the bigger contracts is Darren Waller. TJ Hockenson's 17.125 is also based on some other factors within this when you look at the previous money from the Lions and so on and so forth. So the Vikings aren't on the hook for as much of it. But it is a great deal, Sam. That's a great point that, he went out and made the trade. Everybody, I saw all Lions Twitter was like, oh, he just wants big money. We're not going to pay him. And everybody was like, there's no way the Vikings can pay him. Well, they found a way. And so clearly I knew the domino was going to be either Justin Jefferson or TJ Hockenson. So maybe that's the Justin Jefferson. Hey, let's wait and get TJ done so we can see how much money we'll have and we can, kind of create something for you as well. So I don't know if Justin Jefferson's deal will get done before week 1, but I know that's their goal. They want to get a deal done for him as well, so he feels comfortable and locked in. But TJ Hockenson and Josh Oliver, really quick before I go into this, when they go 2 tight ends, and this was last year, most teams played them in base. Most NFL teams' defenses go base when you see 2 tight ends because they assume it's going to be run, but they know linebackers can cover tight ends. 54% of the time, this came from Mina Kimes. I saw this from her stats, people at ESPN. But 54% of the time was the league average of base defense versus 2 tight end sets. Versus the Vikings, it was 15%, which means more teams are going nickel when TJ Hockenson comes in the game. They're treating him like a receiver, like Travis Kelce. Mahomes and Travis Kelce kind of dealt the same thing, but they didn't go too tight as much. But when they go too tight with the Vikings, they treat Travis Kelce like a third, or TJ Hockenson like a third receiver. So what does that mean? If you want to run the ball, because we were trying to figure this out, how do they run it? If you want to run the ball, you need a guy like Josh Oliver, because now you have a bigger tight end who can deal with nickel, and now you have a guy in TJ Hockenson who can block a nickel. And so I think this is going to be the key to this. They're going to take the box count, and I think Kirk Cousins is going to have a little bit more control to run the ball with Alexander Madison, with maybe a nickel guy as a support, run support, not a linebacker. So I'm very interested. I mean, I think that's the reason why they got this deal done. They like the multiple sets, the fact that, look, I can make you pick wrong. And I think that's going to be the key this year, is Kirk Cousins is going to take control of this offense. But we got to move on to the next topic, because we still got to talk about the Twins. Unfortunately, we have to talk about them because they're actually good. And I'm scared to jump on them in September, because October, the truth is going to come out. Are they for real? Are they fugazi? What are the Minnesota Twins? We're going to talk about that. But before we do, we have a word from our sponsors.
It is a FanDuel Friday. Let me tell you about the new promotions going on at America's #1 sportsbook. If you're a new customer, go to FanDuel right now, sign up, bet $5. That's all it takes. $5. They give you $200 free. Yep, that was not a misspeak. $200 free into your account in bonus bets that you can spend on NFL futures, prop bets, parlays. You can go outside the NFL, bet on the U.S. Open in tennis, whatever you want. Use those $200 however you see fit. And all customers, you can bet $5. This is all customers now. Get $100 off the new NFL Sunday ticket on YouTube or YouTube TV. That's where it's at now. It's off DirecTV. It's on YouTube TV. Get that promotion right now. Sign up. Watch every game around the league all year long. This is the best time to bet football at FanDuel. So again, bet 5, get 200. Bet 5, get $100 off NFL Sunday ticket. FanDuel.com/lockedon is the website, or the FanDuel Sportsbook app. You won't want to miss this NFL season with FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL.
I forgot to bring the champagne out for TJ Hockenson's contract. I had that ready to go too. It was supposed to be a champagne opening. But now, speaking of champagne, it's on to the team that we hope gets to pop champagne later in the season. And that's the Minnesota Vikings. They are taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I got Koki, friend of the show, coming to town. We're going to have Antoine Winfield in town. My boy Larry Foote, who I grew up with, played Little League with, and now he's coaching with been coaching with the Buccaneers, but he's coming back to town. But what are our early opinions? We'll jump over to you, Luke. Luke, what you got for us with this Buccaneers Vikings?
I want to get your guys' opinions, your takes on what this matchup looks like to start this season right out the gate. I think when the schedule came out, guys, first and foremost, we kind of all just chalked it up as an easy win right out the gate, kind of glossed over it. As of now, I know the Vikes are favored by 6.5. That feels about right on paper. Now that we're getting closer and closer, though, I want to gauge the room a little bit, see where everybody's at. We all know there's absolutely no gimmies in this league, even though everyone just wants to write the Bucs off this season. I started to look at this roster on paper here in the depth chart. I'm telling you, don't gloss over this team quite yet. They still got 2 handfuls of studs from that Super Bowl run just 2 years ago. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in the passing game. This defense is still, I'm expecting to be pretty legit. Vita Vea, Devin White, Levante David, Antoine Winfield Jr., first-round pick. They added a defensive tackle, Kaliakmanis. People want to write him off already, but in my opinion, this roster is nowhere near the teams like the Cardinals, who's everybody's writing off, the Rams as well. It's more so everybody's just worried about the quarterback position, and I get it, but we all saw former number 1 overall pick, what Baker Mayfield can still do on any given day, any given Sunday. You saw it last year on that Thursday night primetime game. So I'm just warning everybody now, pump the brakes a little bit on any type of blowout you may have forecasted in your mind. Even though the Vikings are 22-8 all time in week 1 games at home, I'm still not ready to assume this one's going to be a blowout like everybody thinks it is. If they pick up where they left off last year, I think this one's going to be a lot closer than people think, especially with this new look defense. We got a lot of high expectations for this Brian Flores defense, but it could be a lot of trial and error right away, guys. Brian Flores, this ultra aggressive scheme. I'm expecting some ups and downs, especially these first few games. 27-21, that's what I got written down. Better get that extra half point if you're betting on this one, because again, current line sitting at 6.5.
Sam?
Yeah, I cannot figure out this Bucs team at all, because their roster is good enough that I think they could try to make the playoffs this year, right? And that probably means winning 9 games. Like, I don't think they're any better than that. But if things break right for them, if Baker Mayfield got hot, like, I could see this roster actually competing. I don't know. They're not a contender, but they are a competitor. The Band-Aid at quarterback is curious to me. Like, do they think that Baker Mayfield is the future? Like, what is their commitment level to Baker? Because they didn't bring in a rookie quarterback to compete with him. Kyle Trask was never really a serious person in that quarterback competition. He doesn't seem to have it after 3 years in the league now. So they're going with Mayfield. And this roster, a lot of them won Super Bowl a couple of years ago, right? Tristan Wirfs on that offensive line, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Vita Vea. Some bad contract news with Mike Evans. Sounds like they're not going to extend him, so maybe some tension there. I just can't take Baker Mayfield seriously unless I see that they've devised some sort of offensive scheme. Dave Canales, their offensive coordinator, something that really fits whatever he can do, and they can channel what he did in 2019. I just can't take them seriously with that quarterback. So, and again, guys, with Tom Brady last year, they were pretty ordinary as well. So I like the Vikings a lot in this game, but there is enough to worry me with Evans and Godwin and that secondary. That is the matchup that's the trickiest, because you do have to stop 2 credible Pro Bowl level receivers in this game. And if Mayfield gets hot, has the hot hand a little bit, then yeah, I think it could get dicey.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield was nothing more than just kind of like a stopgap for me, and I don't think the expectations are too high for him there, but I think they just hope that maybe he could be competent enough to steady the ship. Maybe they hover around 500. This is a game that could like catch the Vikings up right at the start. And so I think the Vikings really need to come out, establish this offense, and just like try to put it on this Bucs defense as early as possible, because if you let them hang around, it could be scary hours towards the later part of this game. So I'm not giving any score predictions yet because we're too early. But I think the Vikings are going to have their hands full with the Bucs. But we'll kind of see, like Alexander Mattison coming out party potential, Justin Jefferson continuing to establish himself as the dude, as him. And then, TJ Hockenson coming out showing that those injuries are behind them. The money is in the bag, and it's time to go ball out.
Here's where I go. My early opinion in this game. When you look at the bets and the parlays, I would say that's where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna pay off FanDuel fans. When you want to take a look at this Bucs Vikings game, please check out FanDuel. Like this. Like, I wasn't excited about this game just yet because I'm still excited about the goal. But looking at some of these parlays makes me want to drive an hour and a half over the border to Wisconsin and just make this bet. Here's some guys to think about, guys. And I was going to ask you guys this. Look about this. First drive. You can bet on the first drive. Imagine like being in your seat or being in front of your TV because you're super excited to watch the first drive. The first drive result, whether it's the Bucs or the Vikings, is a field goal attempt, plus 450, offensive touchdown, plus 320, any other, meaning turnover, defensive touchdown, a safety or special teams play that's not a field goal, plus 500, and then a punt, minus 115. This is the thing. If the Vikings get the ball first, I would definitely take the field goal attempt. But if the Bucs get it, I'm taking a punt or I'm taking any other. So that's what makes this even more like it's all down to the coin toss. Like you're sitting there praying the coin toss goes to the Bucs, so that they can choose to defer and the Vikings have to take the ball. Like, that's what you want. I don't know if Kevin O'Connell's going to take the ball first just to say, you know what, screw this. I'm taking the ball first and I'm scoring. And I'm putting it down your throat. But you can, like, make every part of this game fun. Here's another one. Money line plus win. You can bet on the Vikings to win by 1 to 13 points or 14 plus. Both are getting great odds right now. So there's a lot of things to check out on FanDuel, people. My early on looking at this, I want to bet a field goal. Like, I think either team can drive down and get a field goal. I don't feel like either is going to get a touchdown to start, but I'm always wrong. We always know Justin Jefferson might catch the first one and gritty that thing out to start the season off. But if I got a tight end that's worth $66 million, my first touchdown is going to him to prove to the world I signed him for a reason. Early on, and when you look at the odds to make the playoffs, Vikings are 106 on FanDuel. The Bucs are plus 360. So I'm thinking that the Vikings are the favorites. My opinion early is that the Vikings are going to win. I agree with you, Reggie. I don't feel like Baker Mayfield is the quarterback of the future. But I also know that the Buccaneers don't know what their team, like Tom Brady got them a Super Bowl and now they don't know what to do. Now they really don't know where to go. So the question is, do they try to draft a guy? Do they try to trade and maybe take a Kyler Murray from the Arizona Cardinals? Like you really don't know. Like you don't know what the deal is, because if Kyler Murray is fully healthy, can he be viable to the Buccaneers with a team that maybe wants to run the ball a little bit more, where Arizona was a kind of trying to be an air raid offense and they want Caleb Williams. So my early on thoughts are just that the Vikings have to do what they do and not screw this thing up, because they are the favorites right now. I think they can win this by 14 plus points and just blow it out. So me, Reggie, and Sam can sit in the press box and just relax and just sit back and, have some popcorn and some chicken tenders and just relax and get ready for our post-game shows, because, hey, why not? Why make it close? Why do we have to come down to a Gophers field goal like the Vikings? By the way, before we jump into this last topic with the Minnesota Twins, was it me or did anybody else feel like that extra point, not the field goal to win the game, but the extra point?
It was so close
that he was going to thank you. I was like, wow. I looked like, did he miss that? I was like, he did not just.
Wow. So close. Now, there was a penalty on the play, so they would have gotten a redo.
He hit him in the leg.
It was dangerously close. You're absolutely
and that could have been very bad. Like that, he could have broke his leg the way he hit that planted leg. Like I thought he was hurt. I was like, oh my goodness, thank goodness he's a bigger kicker, and so he could take a hit like that. The other side of that though too is I almost thought PJ might take it, move it up to like the 1 yard line, and then quarterback sneak for the win.
Go for two,
because that's another way to do it. You got a big tall quarterback, you got a big huge offensive line, you got 7 offensive linemen you claim could be starters. I thought for a second PJ might just dagger him right there and say, you know what? Let's go ahead and just push this thing up to the 1, and then let's just Daniel Falele this. Let's just push it into the end zone. Let's score a 2-point conversion, go up. But then I think that would have changed butterfly effect. I think the Nebraska would have relaxed a little bit more and realized, hey, a field goal just wins this game. We don't need to try to do too much here. But the quarterback probably still would have threw an interception to Tyler Nubin, and he would have ended the game with the interception. Either way, it would have worked out that way. But yeah, I thought he missed it. I definitely thought he missed it. But we're on to the Vikings now. But now it's time to move into the Twins. Last topic of the day. Sam, what you got?
It's September. I don't know if there's quite a chill in the air yet, but fall baseball, autumn baseball is on the way. Pennant chase is here. Twins enter the month up by 5 on the Guardians. It should have been 7, you guys. They should have a stranglehold, but they blew it on Wednesday, so now they got to sweat just a little bit. I said this last week. If the Twins simply win one game from both of these series against Cleveland, they will win the division. Well, they won one game at home. Now they got to go win one game on the road this week in Cleveland, and then I think they got it wrapped up. I'm calling a Twins clincher on Earth, Wind, and Fire Day, September 21st. You can play your album. Do you remember?
September. I actually got that song playing in one of my home videos when I was a kid, and I was 3. My parents were playing that in the background.
It's timeless. It's so good. It's so good. I'm looking at this Guardian schedule too. They got Rays, Twins, at the Giants, Texas, Baltimore. Cincinnati's good. It's a tough schedule for the Guardians. I don't think there's any way that they can come back unless, again, they sweep the Twins this week. So the Twins just got to win one game, and then I think they can breeze easy. Here's one bold prediction, though, for the month. Mm-hmm. You know who's going to come back and be the MVP of this pennant chase for the Twins? Byron Buxton is going to come back from his injury. He's going to play center field. Playing center field is going to get his juices flowing. The bat's going to get going. He's going to be the guy who gets hot going into October.
Reggie.
As Monique would say, I would like to see it.
I was real skeptical looking there, Reggie.
Yeah, I would like to see it. I'm interested to see how that goes. It's interesting because I made the comment earlier this week that the Twins are like that girlfriend that you've been back and forth with, and you're like, look, man, it's time to put her down. Like, it's time to leave her alone. She doesn't mean me well. And then she comes back all dressed up, looking pretty. And she's like, but baby, I've changed. And then you take her back. And then the cycle just goes on and on and on and on and on again. And you're hurt. You end up hurt again. But then, you have some more good times, but then you end up hurt again. And I think that's kind of what this Twins team is from my almost 2 years of being here. It'll be 2 years on September 15th. That's pretty much what the Twins are. Like, I saw it just completely unravel last year, and here we are. They're 5 games, and you're like, oh man, here we go. And the Guardians just claimed 3 guys on waivers yesterday. Lucas Giolito, Matt Moore, 2 pitchers that they did. You're like, oh shoot, here we go. Oh no, they're gonna turn it on. You know, Jose Ramirez is gonna be punching everybody out. So here we go. And it's scary, you know, it's a little tough. And so you don't really know if you can trust the Twins. But look, this is closing time. And if they really want to be about it, they have to get it done. They've played too well in stretches this year to kind of let it just unravel again like they did last year. But it's the Twins, man. And it remains to be seen until it happens.
Yeah, I mentioned this before. Good news is no matter how dramatic they make this thing, they get to finish versus the Rockies and the A's. So no matter how tight this thing is at the end, you got to like their chances to finish strong. Here's my one bold take. The young guys, the rookies, they're only going to get hotter. Their confidence right now is just absolutely oozing. They're going to take over the spotlight and carry this team to the playoffs. They'll be the new identity of this team, so to speak. The Royce Lewises, Edward Julian, Matt Wallner specifically, they stay hot. By the end of the season, the leaders in the clubhouse, they're not going to be the guys that we're used to and have tried to lean on all year, the Carlos Correas, the Byron Buxtons. It's going to be the young guys you think of when you think Twins baseball, first and foremost. And no matter what happens in the playoffs, and yes, I do think they'll end up winning this division, but no matter what happens in the playoffs, I think by the end of the season, we're going to look at the big picture, the future here. We're going to feel good knowing this team has a new young core, a new nucleus of these emerging studs they can build around. By the way, I haven't even mentioned Brooks Lee and Walker Jenkins coming up the pipeline as well, 2 top 20 prospects in the MLB. So no matter what note they end on, I think it's going to be really easy to look at 2024 and get excited about this group of just young budding talent. Because right now, guys, they got some young dogs in this lineup right now, at least offensively.
Here's where I go. I think it's Max Kepler. I think Max Kepler has to continue on a tear. He has to continue to get this team excited. I think about, again, I'm a softball guy. People know that. When I look at softball teams, it's always people like Jocelyn Alo, you know, Tierra Jennings. When you think about Oklahoma softball, they are right now the biblical version of greatness when you talk about softball. And so you think about that. You think about Jordy Ball, who's a pitcher hitter. We don't have that in Minnesota. You don't have an Ohtani in Minnesota. So who do you have to look to? Max Kepler. Like, you have to have somebody willing to always get it going. I do like the Byron Buxton thing, but can he stay healthy? I think that's the question, Sam. Like, can he come back? I feel like he would come back. Everybody would cheer. You'd have the music playing. Dun, 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 and then he like gets hurt running out to center field. Like, he steps on second base by mistake, twists an ankle. And then we're like, oh, wait, did he
just on a banana peel?
Right. Did he just get hurt during warmups? Or like Audra Martin's like microphone cord is too long and she's not realizing he's running by. Audra Martin trips him. He falls. Like, you know, just something so Minnesotan. But I am looking forward to some playoff baseball. I mean, it does help us out, honestly, from a media standpoint. It gives us something else to talk about early on in the football season as well as the college football season. And then as we get ready for basketball. So this might be one of those years where all the teams are kind of still going at the same time. It would be nice to have a run because just to see the weather in Minnesota have to question, like, are we going to have to play outside in snow for playoff baseball? Because it might snow in October in Minnesota. You just never know. We've had some pre-Halloween snowstorms, and so that might happen. I'm not looking forward to snow. But anyway, I think the Twins get it done, but I'm looking forward to seeing Max Kepler. He has to – if he gets cold, I feel like the team might get cold, and then we might be sitting here watching Reggie, like, bite his fingernails and just say, like, oh, I gotta figure out a way to make this exciting for the fans. But everybody, SiriusXM, please download the app. It's free for most subscribers. Just go to SXM, the app, on whatever app market you have. You can get the Twins broadcast tonight at 7:05 p.m. The Twins, like Sam said, are taking on the Rangers. They have to find a way to get some wins because if they can sweep the Guardians, they could lock it up early and kind of be relaxed. And they never have it locked up. 5 games is really not a big lead in baseball because if you lose 3 and they win 4 or 5, you're back where we started and we're like, oh my goodness, it's going to come down to the last game. But if the Twins can find a way to sweep the Guardians, I think they can help out their own case. And then you just need a couple pitchers to not screw this thing up. But I'm Ron Johnson. That's Luke Spinman, or Inman as they know him. That's Sam Ekstrom. That's Reggie Wilson from Care 11. I want to thank you guys and have a great day.